So I just finished filming the video where I show my sketchbook, and I was working on the Yeti one a little bit more, and I thought I would kind of show some of the techniques I use for ballpoint ink and how I shade and how I work with it. Now, I'm working with a different method. I've never really done this one before, where I do a scribble technique with a pencil and go back over it in pen. Normally I don't ever use pencil as a pre-step to inking to using pen. The only way I would ever really use the pencils when I'm using an ink pen like this, and it's a dark cartoon outline for some kind of illustration or something like that. Normally I would just work with a ball pen, so this is a new technique for me. So I'm gonna, and I haven't used the pen for a while, so it's gonna be a little bit wonky, but let's see if I can get in here and do this a little bit. See if I can zoom in. You can see I've kind of been working on it already a little bit. Yeah, pretty far where you can see the outline of the lip here. This kind right here, it's, I don't know, you see it in dogs a lot, and so I thought I would incorporate it into the Yeti's mouth a little bit. I've done this once before with a werewolf type drawing, and so mainly the first thing you're going to want to realize when drawing with pen, ballpoint pen anyway, is it takes sometimes takes a lot of layers to get it down to the right shade you want, especially you want to work really light and just do it several times over. Now this is a very time-consuming technique, I realize, and I know I used to do this all the time. It's the only way I used to draw, so I've kind of got used to it and understand it a little bit more. And it just it doesn't, to me, because I love it. I love working this way in this kind of technique. It doesn't seem like I'm spending a lot of time on it, and so that for me, this is the right way to be doing it. Like stippling, I can't stipple. Well, I don't know the proper word to use there. I'm not. It annoys me. I had to used to do it for school, and I couldn't get through it. But I'm sure there's people out there that just love that kind of artwork, and it just doesn't seem time-consuming and monotonous to them. That's how I feel with this. I realize in the picture there, it's kind of hard to see, but actually I'm leaving a little bit of a shine just above where the tooth is, the outline of the tooth is, and that's because there's going to be a raised lip there, and the light's going to be catching on it, and it's going to have a little bit of a shine, and you don't want that shine directly sitting on the line of the tooth, because there is a point where it raises and then drops, and the lower part's going to be a little bit darker. Come in with this heavy ink pen and put in the darker bits, and then the farther over this way you go, the darker it's going to be, so I'll probably use this more prominently. And then right now it seems really dark in contrast to the rest of it, but as it dries, that should go away, because as you can see back here, I've used it in this section already, and it's pretty much gone away. Now this is the first time I've really gone in and used two different types of ink pens to work, and I don't really like to stick with one kind of technique. I like to work them all in and try different things to see how it works out, and then I can use that for later works. So that's how I did a little bit of the mouth. Let's see if I can do something else and show it. Another thing I would like to point out when doing this is I find it's easiest and best to work from the darkest to the lightest, meaning the darkest area, like the heaviest shaded area, to the lightest, like here on this cheek. I started in this section here and worked my way towards the light So I did my base very lightly of the whole thing, and then I just kind of slowly added layer so I could work my way back into this corner. And I think it's easiest to work that way rather than from light to dark. I don't think I'm saying this correctly. To pull from the darkest to the lightest, so I would be shading this way instead of pulling from lightest into the darkest. And that's the reason being is your pen, when you put it down, you're going to be pulling up as you go away, which allows it to taper a little bit easier. And if you're going this way, it would have a sharper edge from the shine into the dark, and you want it the other way around. I'm actually liking having the darker ink to add into the darker recesses here. I like the way it complements this particular ink. Another thing is, as you see here, I leave a shine on a lot of these edges here, which allow for a more realistic kind of, so you don't have a bold, sharp line edge. Another reason is the particular area is going to be wrapping around, so it's gonna have an actual edge there that's raised, and there's going to be a shine on it itself. I'm giving him a leather-like nose, kind of like a gorilla, and I don't know if you can really tell, but it's not symmetrical. This side is obviously a lot larger in this section than it is right here, and that's just I prefer that myself, having non-symmetrical pieces. I like to have really funky shapes, not perfect circles and stuff. I want it to be kind of blocky and out of the way, kind of. And then along the edge here, I want it to really be set apart from the rest of his face, this skin type here. So I will put in a darker line right here, a darker recess, instead of having where I would have a light, but that's because it's lower down, so it's obviously going to be a lot darker and more shaded. As you can look at the iris here, I've noted previously that you don't want to go too dark because you can't go back lighter, you can only go darker. And working with this iris here, I feel I've gone a little bit too dark, and I don't like how dark it's gotten, and it's kind of hard to differentiate between the pupil and the iris itself. But this doesn't really bother me that much because I can go back in with a white colored pencil later, and this is and I can go in and put in highlights and kind of lighten this up, and then you can't really do that overall over the entire picture. In certain places you can, but once it's gotten to a certain degree of darkness, you're not able to. But the iris, because there is a lot of highlights in the eye, I will be able to go in and use a white colored pencil or another medium such as white paint, which I don't own, dang it, and put in some highlights that way. But yeah, so bam, Chinaman. Try and kind of show the bottom bit here, starting from the beginning. Where's my eraser? I'm going to, I think I'll just leave the lines in the pencil here. As you can see, this section here, I felt the tooth is way too large, so I made it a bit smaller to kind of match the one over here. Even though it's not exactly the same, oh well, I don't mind. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lightly come in and kind of give him a loosey kind of bottom lip look here with this pen, and then I'll go over and do kind of a zigzaggy line for each tooth. What that's going to do is separate. This will be the top bit for the shine, or well, I guess the bottom line in this aspect. And what I did here is I just followed the bottom of each tooth to some degree, and then I'll come in and I'll just, normally I start in the middle here, in between the two front teeth, and I'll work my way down, and then it just varies. I kind of move however I feel I should move at the time. I'll get this in here kind of lightly. As you can see, it's kind of it's really loose, kind of just scribbles. It's not really covering the entirety of it, but that's fine. The white will get covered over as you get darker, so there's no real reason to be a perfectionist over getting rid of all these white lines. And get in here, kind of give these to where the gum drops down for each tooth here. And I just work my way over until I get the degree of darkness I feel at the time is right. I'm just going to work all over the picture. I personally don't like to just sit in one spot. I work all over the place, as you can kind of tell probably from the previous videos. Like I said, it just takes layer after layer. And I kind of work back up into the white parts as I go. And I don't want this to be an absolute white, so I'll kind of slowly work into it and lightly go over to dim it down, to take out some of the shine. And then I don't want some of that in the middle there. I'm going to work this shine back away from the center out to the edge.